Awakening. The human's eyes snapped open as the alien medical device shoved a 10-inch needle through his eye socket into his brain, instantly reviving the frozen super soldier. His fists then clenched with a loud crack, making the Zorgon scientists jump with fear. Just 10 minutes ago, the crew of this Zorgon science vessel had been celebrating the discovery of a 10,000-year-old cryopod tumbling through the void of space, with a perfectly preserved Terran soldier inside. Commander Zach danced with glee, visions of promotions and accolades flooding his mind. They would revive the human and learn his secrets. The key to defeating the humans was within their grasp. "Sir, look," Lieutenant Zog pointed at the pod's final active display flashing red. "The human's life support is failing. He will die unless we revive him immediately." Zach froze. Reviving the human now would be reckless. They should return to base. "No," he decided. "I say do it now." Zach demanded, "I want that human alive." Zog reluctantly complied, not knowing it would be his last act. The human's eyes snapped open. Jane blinked as sensation returned to his body. The world spun and his vision blurred. He tried to remember where he was or what had happened, but his mind was blank. As his eyes began to focus, he found himself staring into the bulbous eyes of an alien creature. Its gray skin was slimy, and its mouth opened to reveal rows of sharp fangs. The human jerked against the restraints, holding him to a cold metal table. His enhanced muscles flexed and strained, but the cuffs didn't budge. He was trapped and at the mercy of these unknown beings. "The human is awake," the alien in front of him hissed. "Good, now we can begin." John narrowed his eyes as more of the creatures came into view, standing around him and observing him like a caged animal. "Who are you? Where am I?" he growled. The apparent leader stepped forward. "I am Commander Czar of the Zorgon Empire, and you, human, are going to tell us everything you know about your planet's defenses." Realization crashed over John like a bucket of ice water. He had no idea how long he'd been in Cryo, but it was clear that Earth and humanity were now at war with this alien race. And these bastards wanted him to betray his own people. His jaw clenched. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said flatly. "I'm just a soldier. I don't have any special knowledge." Zar's lips curled back in a cold smile. "We shall see." He turned to one of the other aliens. "Hook him up." Electrodes were attached to John's head and chest. He fought not to flinch as the cords were jammed roughly into his skin and flesh. He had a feeling he knew what was coming next. Zar loomed over him. "I will ask you again. What do you know of Earth's planetary defenses? What are their weaknesses?" John spat. "I'm not telling you, you ugly son of a—" Zar's hand slammed down on a control panel. Electricity surged through the wires into John's body. The human arched against the table, teeth clenched together hard enough to crack as raw agony ripped through every nerve ending. The current seemed to go on forever before suddenly stopping. John sagged back, breathing hard. Every muscle twitched and spasmed, but he lifted his head and fixed Zar with a defiant glare. "Is that all you've got?" The words were strained but full of venom. Zar's face contorted with rage. He hit John again, with an even stronger voltage. The human's back bowed and a scream tore from his throat before he could stop it. His limbs jerked against the restraints hard enough to nearly snap bone. This time, Zar let the current run until John was on the verge of passing out from the pain. Only then did he relent, leaving the man gasping and half delirious. "This is pointless," one of the other aliens said. "The human's mind is too strong. We cannot break him this way." "Then find another way," Zar snarled. "Cut him open if you have to. I want those planetary defense codes." Through the haze of pain, an icy resolve hardened in John's heart. They could torture him to the brink of death, even rip him apart piece by piece, but he would never betray his people. He was a soldier. His loyalty was unbreakable. These alien scum would get nothing from him. As they argued, John took an inventory of his body. The serum enhancements that made him a super soldier were already working to repair the damage and push back the pain to a manageable level. He flexed his arm again, testing his bonds, calculating his chances. If he could get free, he wasn't sure if he could escape this ship, but he sure as hell would go down fighting if it came to it. Zar paced back and forth in front of the restrained human, his frustration mounting with each step. The interrogation had yielded nothing, and the soldier's defiance remained unbroken despite the hours of torture. The Zorgan commander knew he needed a new strategy, a way to break through the human's iron will and extract the information he so desperately sought. "This is getting us nowhere," Zar growled, turning to his team of scientists. "We need to try something different, something that will make him more cooperative." The lead scientist, a spindly creature named Zorg, stepped forward. "Commander, we have been working on a new mind control device. It's still experimental, but it might be just what we need to crack this human's stubborn resistance." Zar's eyes gleamed with malicious interest. "Tell me more." Zorg explained that the device, once implanted in the subject's brain, would allow them to override the individual's free will and turn them into a compliant puppet. It was a technology the Zorgan had been developing for years, but hadn't yet had the opportunity to test on a live subject. "Implant it," Zar ordered. "I want this human under our control, ready to spill all of Earth's secrets." John, who had been listening to the exchange through a haze of pain, felt a spark of fear in his gut. Mind control. The idea of these alien bastards rooting around in his head, bending him to their will, was almost worse than the physical torture. But he kept his expression carefully blank, not wanting to give them the satisfaction of seeing his apprehension. As the scientists prepared their device, John's mind raced. He remembered his training, the classified briefings on the super soldier program's enhancements. One of those enhancements had been a neural inhibitor designed to protect. The mind-controlled attempt. The procedure was agonizing. Despite the liberal application of some sort of avian anesthetic, John felt every slice of the laser scalpel, every prod of alien instruments in his brain matter. He screamed until his throat was raw, but never once let slip a plea for mercy. When it was over, a small metallic device had been implanted deep in his cerebral cortex. "Activate it," Zar snapped impatiently. A hum filled the room as the mind control device powered on. John felt a strange sensation, a tugging at the edges of his consciousness. He clenched his jaw, focusing on the neural inhibitor's training he had received. The device buzzed louder, and John felt a pressure building inside his skull, but he forced himself to stay calm. Zar leaned in close, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Now, human, tell us the codes to Earth's planetary defenses." John's vision blurred, and a wave of dizziness washed over him. He fought to keep his thoughts clear, knowing that the neural inhibitor should start working soon. "No," he said through gritted teeth, "I won't tell you anything." The alien scientist, Zorg, adjusted a dial on the control panel. "Increase the power," Zar ordered. "We need to break his will." The pressure in John's head intensified. It felt like his brain was being squeezed in a vice. He bit down hard on his lip, drawing blood, as he concentrated on the neural inhibitor's training. The device inside his brain began to pulse, counteracting the alien mind control attempt. "He's resisting," Zorg noted, his voice tinged with frustration. "The human's neural defenses are stronger than we anticipated." "Then push harder," Zar barked. "We need those codes." John's body convulsed as the power increased. The pain was excruciating, but he clung to his resolve. He thought of Earth, of the people he had sworn to protect, and of the training that had prepared him for this moment. Slowly, the neural inhibitor took hold, dampening the alien device's influence. Sweat poured down John's face as he locked eyes with Zar. "You won't win," he gasped out, each word a struggle. Zar's face twisted in rage. Enough of this, he turned to Zorg. "Prepare the surgical tools. We'll extract the information directly from his brain if we have to." John's heart pounded in his chest. He knew that if they cut into his brain, the neural inhibitor wouldn't be enough to protect him. He had to act, and he had to act now. With a sudden surge of strength, he yanked against his restraints. The cuffs strained but held. He flexed his muscles again, focusing all his enhanced strength on breaking free. The alien scientists were too engrossed in their preparations to notice John's movements. The restraint around his right wrist began to give way, the metal bending under the pressure. He pulled harder, his vision darkening at the edges from the exertion. With a final, desperate effort, the restraint snapped and his hand was free. John moved quickly, grabbing the nearest piece of equipment, a heavy metal tray, and swung it at Zorg's head. The alien scientist crumpled to the ground, unconscious. Before Zar could react, John was on him, driving a fist into his midsection. Zar doubled over, gasping for breath. The other aliens in the room scrambled to respond, but John was already moving. He ripped the electrodes from his body and tore the remaining restraints free. His muscles ached, and his head throbbed from the mind control attempt, but adrenaline and the super soldier enhancements pushed him forward. John grabbed a laser scalpel from the surgical table and faced the remaining aliens. "Who else wants some?" he growled, his voice filled with determination. The aliens hesitated, clearly not trained for combat. John took advantage of their indecision and charged at the nearest one, slashing with the scalpel. The alien fell, clutching its wound. Panic spread among the remaining scientists, and they began to back away, realizing they were no match for the enraged human. John knew he couldn't afford to waste time. He needed to find a way off this ship and back to Earth. He sprinted towards the door, but Zar, recovering from the blow, managed to hit an alarm button. Red lights flashed, and a siren blared throughout the ship. "Security," Zar shouted. "The human is escaping." John cursed under his breath and bolted down the corridor. He had no idea where he was going, but he had to stay ahead of the security forces. He rounded a corner and nearly collided with a group of armored Zorgan guards. They raised their weapons, but John was faster. He tackled the first guard, disarming him and using the weapon to take out the others in rapid succession. His enhanced reflexes and training kicked in, allowing him to move with lethal efficiency. He didn't stop to think, only to act, driven by the need to survive and complete his mission. As he continued through the ship, he searched for an escape pod or a shuttle, anything that could get him off this alien vessel. John found himself in what appeared to be a docking bay. Several small craft were stationed there, but more guards were closing in. He fired at them, taking cover behind a stack of crates. The exchange of laser fire was intense, and John knew he couldn't hold them off forever. Desperation fueled his actions. He spotted a small shuttle that looked operational and made a break for it. He blasted the controls to seal the docking bay doors, buying himself a few precious moments. John sprinted to the shuttle, quickly accessing the unfamiliar controls. Come on, he muttered, trying to make sense of the alien technology. The engines roared to life, and the shuttle began to lift off the ground. John didn't waste any time. He navigated the craft out of the docking bay, narrowly avoiding the return fire from the guards. As he piloted the shuttle away from the Zorgan ship, John allowed himself a moment to breathe. He had escaped, but the danger was far from over. He needed to find a way back to Earth and warn humanity about the Zorgan threat. The thought of home gave him the strength to push on, despite the pain and exhaustion. John set a course for the nearest known human colony, hoping he could find allies there. He knew the journey would be perilous, but he was determined to succeed. He had faced the worst the Zorgan could throw at him and had survived. Now, it was time to fight back and protect his people from this new alien menace. The escape and the return. John piloted the shuttle with grim determination. He activated the onboard navigation system, searching for the closest human colony or outpost. The alien symbols were unfamiliar, but he managed to decipher enough to plot a course toward a signal that matched known human frequencies. It was a gamble, but it was his best shot. The journey through space was tense. John's eyes darted to the scanner every few seconds, expecting the Zorgan ship to come after him. He knew their technology was superior, and if they caught up to him, he wouldn't stand a chance. His mind raced with thoughts of Earth and the war that had clearly erupted in his absence. After what felt like an eternity, the scanner picked up a signal, a human distress beacon. Relief washed over John as he adjusted his course. As he approached the source of the signal, a small, battered space station came into view. It was surrounded by debris, the aftermath of a recent battle. John's heart sank at the sight of the destruction but pressed on, hoping they were survivors. He docked the shuttle and cautiously stepped out, his laser pistol at the ready. The station's interior was dimly lit, and the air was thick with the smell of burnt metal and ozone. He moved silently through the corridors, alert for any signs of life or danger. "Hello, is anyone here?" John called out, his voice echoing in the empty hallways. A figure emerged from the shadows, weapon raised. "Who are you?" a woman's voice demanded. She was dressed in a makeshift uniform, clearly a survivor of the attack. "Human," John replied, lowering his pistol slightly. "I'm here to help. Name's John. I escaped from a Zorgan ship." The woman's eyes widened in recognition. "You're one of the lost super soldiers. We thought all of you were gone." "Not yet," John said grimly. "But we don't have much time. The Zorgans are after me, and they know about Earth's defenses. We need to get back and warn our people." The woman nodded. "I'm Commander Elena Blake. We were hit hard, but we still have a functioning communication array. We can send a message to Earth." Together, they made their way to the station's control room. John worked on the communications console while Elena secured the perimeter. The system was damaged, but John's enhanced skills and knowledge allowed him to patch it up enough to send a signal. "This is John, a Terran super soldier. I'm broadcasting from Outpost Delta 9. Earth is in imminent danger from the Zorgan Empire. They have advanced mind control technology and are planning an assault. Prepare your defenses and mobilize all available forces. I will provide coordinates and intel as soon as I can. Over." John sent the message and hoped it would reach the right people. He turned to Elena. "We need to get off this station. The Zorgans will come looking for me." Elena nodded. "We have a small ship in the hangar, but it's not in the best shape. We can make it work." They hurried to the hangar, where a beat-up transport ship awaited. John and Elena worked together to get it operational, and soon they were lifting off the station, heading towards Earth. John's mind was racing with strategies and plans. He knew the battle ahead would be fierce, but he was ready. As they approached Earth, John saw the familiar blue and green planet, now dotted with signs of war. He activated the ship's communication system and contacted the nearest military base, providing his identification and the urgent intel. "This is Commander Drake of the Terran Defense Force. John, it's good to hear your voice. We've received your message. The fleet is mobilizing, but we need more details on their technology." "I'll debrief as soon as I land," John replied. "But be ready, the Zorgans won't wait." The ship descended through the atmosphere, and John's heart swelled with determination. He was back, and he would fight with every ounce of strength he had to protect humanity. The war was far from over, but with the element of surprise and the knowledge he brought, they stood a fighting chance. The counterattack. Upon landing, John was whisked away to a secure briefing room where high-ranking officials awaited. The urgency of the situation was palpable. Maps and holographic displays filled the room, detailing the Zorgan fleet's movements and Earth's defenses. "John, we need everything you know about their mind control technology and their battle tactics," General Hawks said, his voice steady but intense. John began to recount his experiences, explaining the mind control device and its potential to override human free will. Their technology is advanced, but not infallible. The neural inhibitors in our super soldiers worked, at least partially. We need to enhance those defenses for all our troops. The scientists and strategists in the room took notes, discussing ways to implement John's suggestions. "What about their fleet composition and tactics?" General Hulk pressed. They rely heavily on psychological warfare and fear. Their ships are heavily armed but vulnerable to coordinated attacks. If we can disrupt their command structure, we can create chaos in their ranks, John replied. The room buzzed with activity as plans were formulated. John felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was no longer just a soldier, he was a key part of the strategy to save Earth. Days turned into weeks as preparations were made. Earth's forces rallied, fortifying their defenses and developing countermeasures against the Zorgan mind control devices. John trained with the troops, sharing his knowledge and honing their skills. When the Zorgan fleet finally arrived, Earth was ready. The battle was fierce, but John's insights and the enhanced defenses proved crucial. Coordinated strikes disrupted the Zorgan command, and Earth's forces managed to push back the invaders. In the midst of the chaos, John led a strike team aboard the Zorgan flagship, targeting the command center. The fighting was brutal, but John's determination never wavered. He reached the command bridge and confronted Commander Zar. "This ends now," John said, his voice filled with steely resolve. Zar sneered. "You think you can stop us, human? We are superior." "Maybe," John replied, "but we have something you don't. Unbreakable will and the courage to fight for our freedom." With that, John launched himself at Zar. The battle was intense, but John's enhancements and training gave him the edge. He overpowered Zar, delivering a final blow that incapacitated the Zorgan commander. With Zar defeated, the Zorgan fleet fell into disarray. Earth's forces pressed their advantage, driving the invaders back and securing a hard-won victory. The threat was not entirely eliminated, but the tide had turned. As the dust settled and the celebrations began, John stood on a hill overlooking the battlefield. He knew the fight was far from over, but he also knew that humanity had shown its strength and resilience. He was ready for whatever came next, confident that together they could face any challenge and emerge victorious. Aftermath and revelations. The weeks following the decisive battle were a flurry of activity. Earth's forces focused on rebuilding and strengthening their defenses, while also preparing for potential future incursions by the Zorgan Empire. John, now hailed as a hero, found himself thrust into a leadership role, guiding the development of new strategies and technologies. Despite the victory, the cost had been high. Cities lay in ruins, families were torn apart, and the scars of war were evident everywhere. John spent his days coordinating efforts with military leaders, scientists, and engineers to ensure that Earth would be better prepared for any future threats. One day, as John was inspecting the reconstruction efforts in one of the war-torn cities, he was approached by a young soldier. "Sir, there's someone you need to meet," the soldier said, leading John to a makeshift medical tent. Inside, John saw a group of civilians, many of them injured or traumatized. In the corner, an elderly man was hunched over a holographic map, muttering to himself. The soldier introduced him as Dr. Marcus Kane, a renowned scientist who had been working on classified projects before the war. "Dr. Kane, this is John," the soldier said. The old man looked up, his eyes sharp and filled with a mix of curiosity and recognition. "Ah, John, the super soldier. I've been hearing about your exploits. Quite impressive." John nodded, unsure of what to expect. "Dr. Kane, what can I do for you?" The scientist gestured to the map. "I've been working on something that could change the tide of this war permanently. It's a piece of technology we were developing before the Zorgans attacked, a quantum communication device. It can send and receive information instantaneously across vast distances, making it impossible for the enemy to intercept or jam our signals." John's eyes widened. "That could give us a huge advantage. How close are you to completing it?" "Closer than you might think," Dr. Kane replied with a sly smile. "But I need resources and a secure facility to finish the work. The Zorgans nearly destroyed everything, but I managed to save the core components." John wasted no time. He arranged for Dr. Kane and his team to be relocated to a secure research facility, where they could continue their work under heavy guard. The prospect of having such a powerful tool at their disposal reinvigorated the entire defense effort. The new threat. Months passed, and Earth's defenses grew stronger. The quantum communication device was completed and integrated into the military's infrastructure, allowing for unprecedented coordination and strategic planning. However, the victory over the Zorgans had not gone unnoticed. Other alien factions, seeing the potential weakness in the aftermath of the invasion, began to take an interest in Earth. One day, as John was reviewing intelligence reports, an urgent message came through the quantum network. It was from a remote outpost near the edge of human space. "Commander John, this is Outpost Echo 12. We've detected an unidentified fleet approaching our position. They're not Zorgans, but their technology is advanced. We need immediate assistance." John immediately convened a meeting with General Hawk and other military leaders. "We need to investigate this new threat," John said. "If they're as advanced as the report suggests, we can't afford to be caught off guard." General Hawk nodded. "Agreed. We'll send a reconnaissance team to gather more information. John, I want you to lead it." John prepared for the mission, selecting a team of highly skilled soldiers and technicians. They boarded a state-of-the-art reconnaissance vessel and set a course for Outpost Echo 12. As they traveled, John couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was at play. When they arrived at the outpost, the situation was dire. The unidentified fleet had already begun its assault, and the outpost defenses were struggling to hold. John's team sprang into action, using their advanced training and equipment to repel the invaders. During the battle, John managed to capture one of the alien soldiers for interrogation. Back on the ship, John and his team interrogated the captive. The alien, a member of a species called the Cryo, revealed that they had been monitoring the conflict between Earth and the Zorgans. Seeing an opportunity to strike while Earth was vulnerable, the Cryo had decided to launch their own invasion. John's blood ran cold. "Why? What do you want from us?" The Cryo soldier's eyes glinted with a cold, calculating look. "Your planet is rich in resources, and your people are strong. We seek to dominate and integrate your strengths into our own empire." John knew that Earth couldn't withstand another full-scale invasion so soon after the Zorgan attack. He relayed the information back to Earth, urging immediate preparation for this new threat. Rallying allies. Realizing that Earth could not stand alone against multiple alien threats, John proposed a bold plan to the military leadership: seek alliances with other species that had also suffered under the tyranny of the Zorgans and the aggression of the Cryo. "There's strength in numbers," John argued. "If we can unite with other civilizations, we stand a better chance of defending our planet and pushing back these invaders." General Hawk agreed. "It's a risky move, but it might be our only hope. We'll need to send diplomats and envoys to these potential allies and convince them to join our cause." John volunteered to lead the diplomatic mission, accompanied by a diverse team of diplomats, scientists, and soldiers. They traveled to distant star systems, meeting with leaders of various alien species. Some were wary and distrustful, while others were eager to find common ground and mutual protection. In a particularly tense negotiation with the Draconis, a reptilian species known for their fierce independence, John made a passionate plea. "We all want the same thing: freedom and security for our people. The Zorgans and the Cryo seek to enslave and exploit us. But together, we can stand strong and show them that we will not be conquered." The Draconis leader, a formidable warrior named Thalax, was impressed by John's resolve and honesty. "You speak with the heart of a true warrior, John. The Draconis will stand with Earth. Let us show these invaders the strength of our united forces." With new alliances formed, John returned to Earth, bringing with him fleets of ships and soldiers from their new allies. The sight of these diverse forces arriving in Earth's orbit bolstered the spirits of the weary defenders and sent a clear message to their enemies. The final battle was fast approaching, and John knew it would be the ultimate test of their unity and strength. He stood alongside his new allies, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Humanity had shown its resilience and ingenuity time and time again, and now, with the support of their allies, they were prepared to fight for their future. As the combined forces of Earth and their allies prepared for the impending confrontation with the Cryo, John couldn't help but feel a deep sense of hope. They had come together, transcending differences and forming bonds that would endure long after the war was over. And so, under the stars, where countless stories of struggle and triumph had been written, a new chapter began. It was a chapter of unity, of strength, and of an unyielding spirit that would inspire generations to come. The battle for Earth was not just a fight for survival. It was a testament to the power of humanity and its allies to overcome any obstacle and emerge victorious. Epilogue: A New Dawn. The united forces of Earth and their allies clashed with the Cryo in a battle that would be remembered for ages. The skies burned with the fire of countless ships, and the ground shook with the fury of conflict. John, leading the charge, fought with the strength and determination that had come to define him. In the end, the Cryo were pushed back, their invasion thwarted. The cost had been great, but the victory was decisive. Earth and its allies emerged stronger, their bonds forged in the crucible of war. John stood on a hill overlooking the battlefield, just as he had after the defeat of the Zorgans. But this time, the horizon was filled with the ships of their allies, a symbol of their newfound unity and strength. As the sun rose on a new day, John knew that the future held many challenges, but